All right, guys, how's it going? Eastbayanglers here today. We're talking about little Cleos. We're talking all about rainbow trout. Trout fishing with little Cleos. And if you aren't familiar with the little Cleo, you should be. If you don't have any, you should have. You should get one. Pretty much, a little Cleo has been one of those, top 10 trout lures that has been around for just about ever. It's been, catching freshwater and saltwater fish alike. Reminds me a lot in that regard of the Castmaster. The little Cleo is a spoon, a little bit different than the Castmaster. It's got much more of a original classic spoon look. It's definitely got a much more aggressive wobble, whereas the Castmaster has a very light, subtle, soft wobble. The little Cleo has a very aggressive, very much of a swinging action with the blade, which is an entirely different look for these fish, and it gets and triggers a lot of bites. But today we're talking about the 5 colors that you need to throw when you're fishing for trout with the little Cleo, because there's a whole variety of options out there for you to spend your money and waste your money, and a lot of them they're just not as effective as the others. So for you to spend a lot of time and money with baits and colors that are just not as effective is pretty much not going to give you your best chances. So we're going to talk today, starting off with silver and orange. Now, there's something about that orange and that silver. I mean, I just can't tell you how many days where that particular pattern, it dominates, especially after, if you just, like I used to fish a lot, not right after a plant, but say a week after a plant, and it just seemed like consistently that was the color I could cover water with and get bit, whether I was in the foothills, whether I was in the Sierras, whether I was down in in the city or something like that. It always worked. Number 2 is the fire tiger, and the reason the fire tiger is number 2 is just because it is extremely it's a very bold color, and it pops. It's extremely visible, and it's an extremely good color, especially in the spring and in the late winter. So if you guys don't have a fire tiger pattern spoon, you should get one, even if it's not a little Cleo. The next color we're going to talk about is silver and green. Now, silver and green is extremely effective, but I try not to use it at any lakes that have any kind of an algae bloom. It just seems to be less visible at that time of year. Let's talk about the next color, which is solid gold. Solid gold, and some people like that little bit of red. There's one that's got a little bit of a red on it, but both of those are really good. And gold, man, gold is gold. Yeah. And number 5 is going to be silver and blue. So, a lot of times, I know this sounds really crazy, but silver and blue works really well for jigging lake trout, Mackinac, and it works really well on windy days. It just really stands out. A lot of times people think the brighter colors are going to stand out more so than darker colors. But a lot of times it really depends. When you've got colors that are dark and cast a shadow, when you've got a color that really stands out, it allows you to target fish that normally, so for example, like if you've got a pink, you know, it's really going to stand out if you've got the pink little Cleo. But it's just not going to be a very, I mean, it stands out really well, but it's not going to be very effective. So, you know, if you go with that gold color or that silver and orange, it's a bit more subtle. All right, guys, so big fan of the little Cleo, big fan of the little Cleo lineup. Been using it for a long time. And they're going to continue to make more colors, so you guys go out and buy them and try them. And yeah, you're not going to do any better on those new colors, at least the ones that I've tried, which are pretty much all of them. So stick with what's tried and true. Stick with what works. These are the consistent top 5 colors, patterns that I would fish if you're going to go out there. You're going to fish a little Cleo. You're going for trout. These are the colors you need to have. And these are extremely effective, not just casted and retrieved at different methods, whether it's a steady retrieve and whether you've got pauses or you've got some type of jerks in your cadence, matters not. If you want to jerk them and jig them off the bottom and go for lake trout, they work extremely well. Very versatile lure, guys. So sometimes I've heard of people trolling them, you know, with a big sinker, bouncing them off the bottom. So I hope this video helps. We're talking about little Cleos today, and tomorrow we'll be talking about something else. Stay tuned.